I would first like to call upon an esteemed colleague, Quentin Dempster, who's one of Australia's most respected and most recognised journalists. Like WikiLeaks, Quentin has been awarded the Walkley Award for Outstanding Journalism. He also has an Order of Australia.
As a journalist and publisher, Julian Assange has been doing what journalism is meant to do, confront us all with what has really been going on. He pioneered encrypted Dropbox journalism and exposed war crimes and atrocities. Now, every serious news outlet has an encrypted Dropbox for its informants wanting to tell the public hidden actions and secret events the public has a right to know about. Were Julian Assange an American journalist or publisher, his criminal prosecution would not be happening. After the Daniel Ellsberg Pentagon Papers case in the 1970s, the US Supreme Court established exactly what the First Amendment, freedom of the press, means. The Pentagon Papers exposed the lie and historic atrocity that was the war in Vietnam. The judge's ruling withstood the Nixon administration's challenge. And please listen to this. This is what's at stake. The court ruled, the security of the nation is not at the ramparts alone. Security also lies in the value of our free institutions, a cantankerous press, an obstinate press, a ubiquitous press must be suffered by those in authority in order to preserve the even greater values of freedom of expression and the right of the people to know. But the United States government is using for the first time its 1917 Espionage Act extraterritorially to indict a publisher or journalist. This criminalises normal news gathering. According to the Courage Foundation, which supports public interest whistleblowers like Edward Snowden, Chelsea Manning and Julian Assange, the extradition and conviction of Julian Assange opens the door for other journalists involved in the 2010 publication of the Afghan War Diaries, Iraq War Logs, Cablegate and the Guantanamo Files and the collateral murder videos to be pursued by the United States. Now, are there any Americans here in Martin Place, Sydney today? Thank you, sir. I state my support today for Julian Assange not for any anti-American feeling. I'm a journalist, but speaking personally, I love Americans. Also, as the son of a Second World War Australian soldier who served in Palestine and later Milne Bay, Papua New Guinea in the 1940s, I am always grateful for the sacrifice of Americans in the Pacific War. Dad always told me, Quentin, without the Yanks, Australia would have been overrun by the Japanese. Whenever I meet an American, I express my heartfelt thanks. Dad always mentioned the Aussie standard Kokoda, of course, but then the blood sacrifices of the Americans at Iwo Jima, the other Pacific Islands, and the incredible over-the-horizon naval battle of the Coral Sea, which was decisive in stopping the aggressive Japanese advance. Now, America went on to rebuild Japan and Germany, help rebuild Japan and Germany on robust democratic lines, including, please note, proportional representational parliaments, strong public broadcasters and a free press. And we welcome and thank our Japanese friends now. But since the Second World War, our American friends have not always behaved as an ethical superpower should, particularly in Central and South America. They embarked on deadly follies, career above the 38th parallel, still unresolved to this day. Then came Vietnam, a now admitted mistake. The Americans admitted Vietnam was a mistake. And Iraq, another admitted mistake. The fabricated justification for the Iraq invasion destroyed American credibility and helped create a monster Islamic State. Always grateful for the defensive military and geopolitical support for 25 million Australians stuck down here near the South Pole, our national Australian governments have followed the US into these follies. For some reason, Australia always perverted the concept of mateship. We could not bring ourselves through our national leaders to say, hang on a minute, mate, that's not a good idea. We're not doing that. Now, when it comes to the ordeal of Julian Assange, Australia is entitled to say we do not want our citizen extradited to face trial at a court in Virginia and in all likelihood convicted and jailed for the rest of his life. It is distressing that no Australian Prime Minister has seen that the pursuit of Julian Assange as overreach by our American friends and stated as such to American presidents privately or publicly. It is time for our current Prime Minister Scott Morrison and Opposition Leader Anthony Albanese, representing the people of Australia, to do so. It's time for our Prime Minister to call Prime Minister Boris Johnson and formally request that the United Kingdom government instruct its legal representatives to now oppose the extradition of Julian Assange to the United States. What Julian Assange has done in facilitating the publication of United States secrets about war crimes and atrocities is an act of journalism. It is an act of journalism. It is not a criminal act justifying the use of UK-US extradition treaty. Julian Assange must be released. Then we can get on with supporting democracy before it fades any further all over the world, particularly in Hong Kong. Democracies are enabled by functioning institutions, fair electoral systems, the separation of powers, independent judiciaries, fully resourced accountability regimes, and a free and cantankerous press. Julian Assange now symbolises any polity's fundamental right to know. If he is extradited and incarcerated, we democracies will shoot ourselves in the foot. Oligarchs, totalitarians, warlords and supreme leaders for life who always reject any concept of press freedom will be laughing. Julian Assange must not be extradited to the United States. The Australian government must change its current stance and support his release from Belmarsh prison immediately. Thanks for being here. Stand up for what democracy means: a free press, free Julian Assange.